All right, so buckle up, everyone, because today we're taking a trip to the future. We're diving deep into Shenzhen, China.
Shenzhen.
Yeah. You know that place that's always popping up as like the next Silicon Valley?
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
We found this awesome YouTube video that showcases it as, well, a peek into what cities might look like down the road.
I'm intrigued. What kind of stuff are we talking?
Pink, like flying taxis,
Yeah.
insane buildings that look like they came straight out of a movie, and get this, robots that make lattes.
Robots making lattes, huh? I gotta see that.
Oh, you will. The video is seriously mind-blowing. It totally lives up to the hype.
I'm ready. Let's dive in.
Okay, so first things first, the thing that really struck me is how fast Shenzhen transformed.
Yeah, it went from a small fishing village to like a global tech giant in just a few decades. It's insane.
Talk about China speed, right?
Seriously.
The video starts with the guy landing at Shenzhen's airport, and he's instantly just floored. He even says the airport screen is the clearest he's ever seen.
It's more than just looks, though, right? Like, there has to be something driving this transformation.
Totally. Shenzhen's change is because of some seriously strategic moves by the Chinese government. They've poured tons of money into infrastructure, education, and attracting foreign investment.
So it's a top-down approach that's basically turbocharged growth and innovation. Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Okay, ready for the Shenzhen Metro? This is where things get seriously cool.
Hit me.
The video shows this guy visiting Gangxia North Station, and his jaw, like, literally drops to the floor.
What is that impressive?
Dude, picture a train station that feels more like some futuristic art museum. It's huge, tons of natural light, and tech is everywhere.
Wow. Okay, now I'm picturing it. It sounds pretty amazing.
It is. Gangxia North is like the perfect mix of good design and practicality. It's a central hub for a bunch of train lines, but it's also designed to be super easy to use, and it's just beautiful to look at.
So how does the tech come into play?
Well, you can get around using QR codes, contactless tokens, or even facial recognition.
Facial recognition in a train station. Wow. That's convenient, but also kind of scary, you know? Like, what about privacy?
I know, right? The video highlights how facial recognition is becoming super common in Shenzhen, not just on the metro, but in stores and other public areas.
I mean, it makes things easy, but it does raise some questions about all that data being collected.
It's a trade-off for sure, especially compared to how some Western countries are struggling with their infrastructure. The guy in the video actually kind of roasts the UK's HS2 rail project.
Oh, yeah, that one's been having a rough time.
He basically implies that they could learn a thing or two from China about getting things done.
Well, their approaches are definitely different. Shenzhen's metro, with all its automation and cutting-edge tech, shows just how committed they are to building a modern, well-connected city.
And it's not just about trains. Imagine ordering takeout and it just shows up by drone.
Wait, what? Drone delivery?
Yep. The video shows this guy at Shenzhen Talent Park ordering a drink, and a drone brings it right to him. He's like a little kid, totally amazed.
I mean, drone delivery's still pretty new in most places.
But in Shenzhen, it's happening. Think about it. They've had to figure out how to manage all those drones in the air, make sure it's safe, and make it all work with the city.
It's almost like a glimpse into the future of deliveries everywhere, isn't it? Like, are we all going to be getting our pizza flown in soon?
It really makes you wonder. Shenzhen is like a testing ground for new tech. If drone deliveries work there, who knows? Maybe it'll catch on globally.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's definitely got potential.
So this kind of leads us to the China High-Tech Fair, which gets featured in the video. It's this massive event where companies from around the world show off the newest technology.
Oh, cool. So what's the vibe?
It's clear that Chinese companies aren't just catching up anymore. They're leading the way in a lot of areas.
Yeah, China's been making some serious moves in the tech world.
Right. There are companies like Huawei, Alibaba, Tencent, DJI, and Xiaomi. They're all major players on the global stage.
And they're investing a lot in research and development, pushing things forward in fields like AI, 5G, and all sorts of cool gadgets.
There was this one part in the video that totally blew me away, a robot making coffee.
Like just pouring it or...
No, like actually making latte art. It was mesmerizing.
Whoa, seriously. That's next level.
It shows how robots are getting integrated into everyday things. And it's not just about replacing human workers. It's about making things more efficient, more precise, and even creating unique experiences for customers.
It's definitely a sign of the times.
This whole shift from made in China to innovated in China is mind-blowing. What do you think caused this? Is it all government support, access to a ton of talented people, or something else?
It's a mix, really. The Chinese government has been very intentional about creating policies that encourage innovation and technological advancement. They've also put a lot of resources into STEM education, so they have a pipeline of skilled engineers and scientists.
But it's not just government stuff, right? The video talks about this entrepreneurial energy in Shenzhen. People there are ambitious and want to push boundaries.
You're absolutely right. Shenzhen has this unique environment that encourages taking risks and rewards new ideas. People collaborate and share knowledge like crazy, so ideas spread and evolve super quickly.
Speaking of specific companies, the video highlights Insta360.
Insta360, the 360-degree camera company.
Yep. They're based in Shenzhen, and the guy in the video didn't even realize they were a Chinese brand at first.
That's wild.
It just goes to show how Chinese companies are now competing with the big names worldwide.
Yeah, they've carved out a niche for themselves through being innovative, producing good quality, and marketing themselves well.
Makes you wonder, are we watching the balance of power shift when it comes to technology?
It's definitely something to think about. Shenzhen is a major force. It's attracting talent from everywhere, and it's only getting bigger.
All this amazing tech is super impressive, but I think it's important to look beyond the cool gadgets and think about what it's actually like to live in a city that's so intertwined with technology.
Yeah, good point. What's the human side of this story?
That's something we'll dig into in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so we're back, and we're still in Shenzhen, virtually at least.
You know, it's easy to get caught up in all the cool stuff, drones delivering your lunch, robots making fancy coffee. Sign me up.
Right. It's all super impressive. But now I think it's time to get a little more real. What about the human side of all this?
Exactly. What's it actually like to live in a place where technology is everywhere, all the time?
The video we're looking at, it focuses on the shiny positive side of things,
Right. Like it doesn't really get into any downsides.
which is kind of understandable, but still, there's got to be more to the story.
Like, remember how easy it looked to use facial recognition for the metro?
Yeah, super convenient, but also,
That's creepy.
yeah, a little. Who's got access to all that data?
Yeah.
What else are they using it for?
That's the thing, right? Facial recognition is becoming the norm in Shenzhen, not just for transport, but everywhere.
It's part of this whole smart city trend in China. And while there are definitely upsides like better security and efficiency, it does make you think about privacy. And what if that data gets misused?
I mean, sure, it's convenient to pay with your face, but is that convenience worth the potential cost?
That's the big question. And it's not just about privacy either. Like the video shows this super polished, futuristic version of Shenzhen.
Yeah, very sleek.
But are there people who are being left behind? People who can't keep up with all the changes?
I was thinking about that too. Like, what about the digital divide?
Exactly. Not everyone has equal access to technology.
Yeah.
How do those people navigate a city that's so reliant on being connected?
It's something policymakers have to think about. It's great to push for innovation, but not at the expense of certain groups.
Right. You don't want to create a bigger gap between the haves and the have-nots.
Okay, here's another thought. Shenzhen is a manufacturing powerhouse. But with all this automation and AI coming in, what happens to all those factory jobs?
That's a tough one. It's not just Shenzhen either. It's a global challenge.
As machines get smarter, certain jobs will disappear.
It's inevitable, which means we need to focus on retraining people, giving them the skills they need for the new jobs that will be created.
But it's not just about learning how to code, right?
No way. There's a human element too. How do people cope with the stress of not knowing what the future holds for their jobs?
I mean, the world is changing so fast.
Exactly. Some people call it future shock. Like you're just overwhelmed by all the new tech and information. It's hard to adapt.
So it seems like with all this progress, there might be a downside. Is there a chance that Shenzhen's focus on technology could, hurt other parts of life?
Like, what do you mean?
I don't know, like social connections or preserving their culture if everyone's on their phones all day.
That's a valid concern. When a city develops as fast as Shenzhen, things can get lost. But to be fair, Shenzhen is also investing in culture. They're building museums and art spaces.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, because a truly futuristic city can't just be about tech.
It's got to be a place where people can still connect with each other and their history and feel like they belong.
Absolutely. It's all about balance. Innovation is great, but you have to hold on to what makes a city unique.
It makes me wonder what the people of Shenzhen think about all of this.
Like, are they excited to be on the cutting edge? Or are they worried about what they might be losing?
Yeah. Are there downsides they're experiencing that we're not seeing in the video?
Probably. I bet it's a mixed bag. There's pride in being part of something so innovative,
Sure.
but also probably some anxiety about the pace of change.
It's easy to forget that there are real people living through all of this.
Right, it's not just about cool gadgets and robots, it's about how those things impact people's lives.
And it's not just a local story either. What happens in Shenzhen affects the whole world.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a global story. And that's what we're going to look at in the last part of our deep dive. Okay, so Shenzhen, part 3. We've talked tech, we talked people, and now it's time to go global.
Right. Shenzhen's not just some isolated thing happening over in China. It's a sign of something much bigger.
It really shows how much China's technological power is growing and how that's changing things on a global scale.
The video kept coming back to that, you know. Chinese companies are leading the pack now.
Huawei, DJI, Insta360, they're not just competing anymore, they're setting the pace.
And for a long time, it felt like Silicon Valley was the only place that mattered for tech.
Like the undisputed champion. But Shenzhen is proof that things are changing.
Big time. It's almost like the whole tech world is shifting on its axis.
Definitely. So the big question is, what happens next?
Right. How are Western companies going to deal with this new competition?
That's the billion-dollar question. Are we going to see a world where innovation comes from multiple places?
Like multiple Silicon Valleys.
Exactly. It's already happening.
Yeah.
Companies everywhere are looking to Shenzhen for partnerships, for investment, for talent.
The video kept talking about China's speed, and it wasn't just about how fast Shenzhen grew.
Right. It was about the speed of development, too.
And that makes some people nervous. Like, what about intellectual property protection? Fair competition? Are Chinese companies playing by the same rules?
Those are valid concerns. And they need to be addressed, openly and honestly, because everyone benefits from a global system where innovation can thrive, but it has to be fair.
I thought it was interesting that even the guy making the video, he was surprised to learn that Insta360 was a Chinese company.
He was like, wait, they make those?
It shows how well Chinese brands are doing, you know? They're not just blending in, they're becoming household names.
It's a far cry from the days when made in China meant cheap knockoffs.
Totally. Now it's about quality, innovation, cutting-edge stuff.
And that shift has huge implications, not just for tech, but for the whole world.
Global trade, investment, even the balance of power.
Think about the race for 5G, artificial intelligence, rare earth minerals. China's a major player in all of that.
It's kind of wild that we started with a YouTube video about Shenzhen and ended up talking about, like, geopolitics.
I know, right? It just shows how important this stuff is.
So we've covered a lot of ground. We've seen the amazing tech, the human side, the global impact. What's the takeaway for our listeners?
I think Shenzhen's story reminds us that the future is being written right now, and it's not set in stone.
It's up to all of us to decide what kind of future we want.
Exactly. And that means staying curious, challenging old ideas, and realizing that the world is changing faster than ever.
What skills do we need? What opportunities are out there?
Big questions.
Questions worth thinking about, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And hey, if you want to see Shenzhen for yourself, check out the video. It's amazing. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.